Welcome back to Orange County's Real Estate Hot 30. I'm Lena Fayyad.
And I'm Holly McDonald.
And in today's segment, we wanted to bring a very hot topic we've noticed this past week, which are flip opportunities. And we've been seeing a lot of buyers going into the investment world, and we have a lot to say. So, hi. How are you today, Holly?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
So, good. So, what have you seen out there as far as, a lot of homes, have a lot of surprises. And what have you dealt with as far as flip opportunities? I know you were on that show, House Hunters.
Yeah.
And talk to me a little bit.
Sure. So definitely what I'm seeing in today's market is I'm seeing more buyers are gravitating toward fixed up homes.
Okay.
They walk into a home that has presumably been flipped because it's all shiny, all brand new, all perfectly staged. It's set up to make them want to fall in love. Buyers are resonating with that. It means less work for them to have to do. They can just move right in, unpack their bags, and make it their home. I'm also seeing that it's a stark contrast to how the market was 10 or 15 years ago when I was working with HGTV. When I was working there, a lot of the homes, a lot of the TV shows were geared toward people building sweat equity and do it yourself and weekend warrior type projects.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so it was encouraging people, and I was a person that enjoyed all of this too. With my first property, I walked in, I could see an outdated shell and felt like, okay, well, what are the simple things I can do to make the house beautiful and save some money and do some of it myself? And I will tell you that my first project was so simple, and it sounds so silly, but my ex-husband and I were trying to put crown molding in our home because we thought, it'll make the house feel taller and more spacious and more elegant. How hard could it be to do crown molding? And in reality, it's really not that hard, but it is a pain in the ass. And we spent so much time with our arms all the way up and trying to use the saw that you have to cut on an angle just to get everything perfect. And at the end of the day, I mean, it did look like a do-it-yourself project.
I see. Okay.
It was passable, but we spent so much time trying to make it look great. And I think if we had just used a professional and spent a little bit more, we would have enjoyed it a heck of a lot more. Because we do have, obviously great memories, and you get a little bit of a pat on your back for just being able to do it. Yeah. But those shows at that time made all projects seem so simple. And now I think the trend has really come full circle, because now what you're seeing on TV is less about the do-it-yourself. It is more about the flippers that are out there and what they're doing to make the homes look nice. And then that's setting the expectations for the buyers that are out there, because they're seeing all these pretty properties and seeing all the labor that goes into it and realizing I'm fine with buying a house that's already fixed because it suits my style. It's less of a headache. It's money and trouble I don't have to run into. So all that to say, I think that networks like Home and Garden Television and Do It Yourself and all those, TV shows that are out there right now are more reflecting what buyers are interested in, which is homes that are more fixed up instead of ones that they have to do it themselves.
I see. And I remember, like you said, about 10 years ago, all these shows where, at the end the buyer comes and all these people behind them, and it's like a perfect house, but it's you don't even know what went in to fix all of this. Because like you said, there's so much more than meets the eye when it comes to fixing things. And like you said, that crown molding could have, it's one little thing, but it took so much time and energy and sweat. That's awesome. So today you're saying people are kind of okay with the beat up, let me demolish this and build it from the ground up kind of thing?
Definitely investors are.
Okay.
So what I'm seeing a couple of different things that I wanted to touch upon, and I know you've seen this as well. I'm seeing that, yes, in our market, there are investment opportunities because I just hit the table. Sorry.
That's okay.
We're not supposed
Camera's
to do that.
not going to shake. That's fine.
Yes, in our market, because there are, there's so much, the real estate values vary tremendously for a fixed-up home versus a non-fixed-up home. Mm-hmm. So if an investor can come in and buy it for the right price and put money into the home, they know that with our market being low interest rates, low supply, high demand, they are likely to get top dollar. They will make their money back, and that's ultimately what they want to do. That's their business model. And of course, buyers are responding to it. I know I mentioned in a previous podcast that there are some homes that they're going for tip top dollar. Even, as we surpass the height of the market in some areas, you'll see the same home selling for a couple $100,000 less. And in most cases, it doesn't cost an investor that much to fix up. I'm sure they spend
quite a lot.
Yeah, they spend thousands and tens of thousands of dollars on it. But they're making money too. Yeah. And buyers are willing to pay for that because it's all done. Yeah. They didn't have to run into the headaches. But
permitting, going through the code and structure and all of that,
But what I'm also seeing is what we want to educate buyers about is I'm seeing that buyers are seeing these properties that are fixer-uppers come on the market for a lower price, and they're getting excited about, oh, here's my opportunity to get into a great neighborhood for a low price. I could potentially fix it up. What they're not realizing, because it's not really put out there, is the investor is typically going to have the upper hand in purchasing that property.
True.
Because they're most likely going to be cash or they're going to have access to hard money, which is a private type of financing. So they don't have to worry about appraisal issues or the house, being in not great condition and not passing certain tests. So
they buy it as is usually, and they get all the discounts on as far as the materials for fixing up those homes as well.
That's a very good point.
That's such a big percentage people don't even, keep in mind. And like you said, I've had buyers that are seeing these homes that have been fixed up and, hey, let me invest and rent this out. And actually, I just had this happen 2 days ago. 2 homes just quickly, were gone, and they already had multiple offers backed up. So they fell out of escrow, got back to escrow. That my new person that's now an investor didn't have an opportunity even. So he feels like he missed out. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, listen, you really didn't. There's more than meets the eye in this. So I was trying to explain to him that you feel like you missed out, and they freak out, that they did.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to notice right now, because I'm working with clients that are, they're looking online and they're seeing what sold recently, in the last 6 months or whatever the websites pull for. And they're saying, I missed the boat on this house that sold for $500,000 in a beach city. And the fact is that house probably, if you do a little digging, sold to a cash buyer, sold as is, needs a full gut job that's going to cost $100,000 plus. So that house is really worth, closer to 7 probably. Mm-hmm. So yes, you may have been able to buy a house for less money, but you probably would have needed to pay more to offset the fact that you were not cash and you were not buying it as is. All these things that investors, they don't get scared. They're like, the worse the better for the condition of the house. Whereas, somebody that might be new to investing or thinking they're going to take on a project, they're going to want to do their inspections, and then they're going to have their issues and want to renegotiate. So sellers know this and know that typically cash as is deals are going to be like, this is your bottom line. This is what, we're not going to renegotiate later. You take it as it is. Don't give me a headache.
Easy. Yeah, very easy and quick. Usually those escrows actually close pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, you can do like a week or two. So
cash buyers, it's a pro thing as far from pros and cons for investing. Definitely cash buyers is definitely a pro thing for them. So what do you think about buyers who still would like to invest but through a loan? And, what I'm a little skeptical is maybe a loan might not close on a home, with certain conditions. And we've seen one together, remember?
Yeah.
So what can we educate our buyers out there?
So here's the thing. Lenders, of course, are going to want to protect their assets. And the money they're lending you is ultimately they need to get it paid back. They need assurance that the house is going to, stand the test of time. It's going to be worth what they put into it. So lenders are very protective over what they loan on, and that's why they want an appraisal to be done, and that's why they double check to make sure the furnace is working and things like that. They need to make sure that the integrity of the structure is good. And Lena knows, we just went through this on an escrow in Costa Mesa. Yeah. Some lenders, there was a house that had foundation issues.
Yeah.
And obviously, if a lender has a fear that the house is not structurally sound and could potentially fall over or whatever their fears are, they're going to want an engineer or some backing to know that that issue is going to be corrected, that the house is actually worth what you're paying for it.
Yeah,
Basically,
exactly.
houses have a certain value, and when the house is not there, it's land value.
Plus, even if the bank might be afraid that you might not even be able to sell it and even break even. So that's why I feel like cash buyers do have that leverage in their position, as far as investing. So all those points, great points. So I also wanted to talk about investing. Oh yeah, we talked about through investing as a loan and everything's possible. What else should we add?
So I think another thing to point out is that flipping homes, there are things you want to be aware of if you're a buyer. I don't have this on our notes, but we both know it.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a flip property, not all flippers cut corners, but there is a reputation that they might cut corners. They've never lived in the house, so they are kind of just going off of a visual inspection more or less. They have contractors come in and test things, but they're not necessarily looking to create more problems because of course they want to get their money back and make a good profit. So it is so important that when you look at a property, just look at the small things. And if you can see that corners have been cut visibly, then you should probably be very wary about
depth of vision.
Everything.
Absolutely.
So I know my husband and I were just looking at a house, and for whatever reason, I guess they were still in the middle of the project and it's on the market. But you walk in and there's literally no completed deck off of a master. So it's a second story and a slider that opens to like nothing. That's a little scary. So, I'm not saying that they cut corners. I'm saying they were incomplete in that project. But even so, you have to be aware of what the seller is planning to finish, because typically when you make an offer, it's for the existing house. So if there are items that you want to have completed, you really need to be specific and specify that in your offer and make sure everybody's on the same page so that they don't do the cheapest, quickest thing possible. You want to make sure that it's specified.
Why is it that some investors, go the cheap route? Excuse my language, but why is that? Do they think that, because we've seen homes, it's like, why do it's such a beautiful home. Why don't you just, spend that little extra? Is it because
it's purely about the
numbers?
Money.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
So I think in some areas
they're not attached. I feel
they're definitely not attached, and they may not know their market. I mean, a lot of investors Southern California is flooded with them. So we're getting investors from the Inland Empire, from LA, from all over. So they may not be in tune to our specific market. For example, you could probably do a lower end remodel on let's say just a lower price property is probably the best way to say it. You wouldn't maybe put marble and all sorts of fine woods into a little townhome that's on the more affordable price end of the range, because you would never get that money back.
True.
But obviously in a $1 million plus property, buyers are going to be a little bit more discerning and expect a finer quality. So it does surprise me. I have been in properties where I've taken clients that are in the $1 million plus range, and we walk in and we'll notice that it doesn't seem like the investor really truly thought about what the buyer is going to value. And when a buyer notices very cheap fixtures or finishes, that is a put off to them.
Yeah.
Obviously you only need one buyer, and to that buyer that it appeals to, you hope to get your money back, but time is money too. So the longer your home is on the market, the longer they're carrying that cost, and it prevents them from being able to jump on other projects too.
Yeah. Plus those, some investors don't even, complete it right away, hoping the buyers don't really care for certain things. And then that comes back as a repair for request.
Yeah.
And, here you are having to spend even a little bit more money to satisfy, something so little. So keep all of that in mind while you're thinking about investing. So you definitely want to know what the market's asking for as far as, like we said, updated home, chic. We talked about that in our last podcast, just the different styles of homes around.
Yeah, and I think as a tip for buyers too, if you are looking at houses that are not all dialed in, and so it's clear they're not a flip, and it's clear that they haven't been updated in the last couple of years, especially to the current trends that are popular. So it seems like there could be a good opportunity for you to get in there and fix it up to your liking. The best way to be an investor is obviously knowing that investors are going to offer low amounts.
Yeah.
So Yes, you may have to offer more than an investor would pay, because an investor is ultimately looking at their bottom line and what they're going to walk away with. But you, as somebody that's actually going to live in the house and enjoy it, yes, it may seem a little unfair that you have to pay a little bit more, but it is for your own equity building and enjoyment of the
Sure.
property.
Even if it's
So-
for a short amount of time, for a few years before you want to rent it out and really invest it. So, you know, it really does make a difference. You know, like you said, it is for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that that's it's a great way to get in. If you can take on if you can see past what other buyers can't see, like if you can see that vision and you can know that a few fixes here and there are going to help the value, then that's the ultimate way to invest your money.
I like that.
Yeah.
You heard it right here, guys. All about flipping opportunities. I've seen a lot of investment. Our Redfin has been popping up. I've had a few people, like I said, ask about, you know, investments all the way from, you know, Santa Ana to all the way to Long Beach. So, and I've seen homes that are not really considered fixers, but opportunities to invest. And even on the MLS, they're not even listed as a fixer. So you really have to hunt down which ones, you know.
Yeah.
And then the buyer decides, you know what, I do want to invest in this and change it all up. And
Yeah, I do think a lot of people are looking for a specific look, and you know, we're in a market now where that's people really like showcase their homes.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously through history, when homes were first being built in mass quantities in the 50s and 60s, they were all pretty basic and similar. But now the trend is obviously moved toward newer construction, where the buyer comes in and they select their finishes and they really, you know, turn the house into their dream home. And it's just more the way that society is heading.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
more personalized to your liking.
Yeah,
I like that.
But with an eye to, is this a good investment? So another thing that we've seen with some flippers, I'm dealing with one now who purchased a property, and they were on the fence. Do I rent it? Do I sell it? Which way do I go? And in some cases, we are seeing that they're holding onto the properties and renting them out for a few years because, you know, they realize that to maximize their profit, if they hold on to it for a little bit longer, they can strive for top dollar later on. And plus, if you can rent a property for a good price, if you can make sure that you're, you know, considerate of what your price is that you paid for the property and what the rental amount is you can bring in, then you can do quite well, because depending on how much you've put down or if you've paid cash, your carrying cost for the property could be quite low, and rentals in the area, they're
always going to go up here.
They're very high right now. So
Yeah.
people are getting very good prices for their rentals.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I was going to say, because no matter what, especially in our market, there will always be renters willing to pay the price.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You need a roof over your head, and we live in a desirable area.
yeah. Do you think, I'm sure the interest rates really started bringing all these buyers to think about investing. So I think that's what really happened last week. I've seen these numbers kind of drop, but
No, I think that's a really good point. I mean, and that is a really good time to look at buying an investment, is when you can make your money work for you at the lowest interest rate possible. Of course, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You could potentially make quite a bit more renting your place out. Then, you know, some people are a little wary of the stock market. It can be a little volatile. So, you know, it's not a bad thing to consider, but you do have to really be aware of how to deal with a property and all the things that come up, because houses, you know, they need maintenance. That's the main thing. And then depending on who's living there and how they're treating the property, you just want to be careful.
I know. And that brings up actually my second question. A buyer asked me, just find me a home that a bank is willing to close on, but I want to invest in. I'm like, oh, that's a bit tough, you know, like how, you know, the bank has certain rules, you know, I don't know.
So
once the inspection comes in, like, you know,
clarify that for me. So
they want to invest in a home through a loan that a bank would close on a certain home, but the homes he's choosing, or they are choosing, are like,
bad condition.
Really bad condition, and they're all cash buyers. And trying to explain that to him, so maybe I'll send you the link of this podcast.
Yeah, I know. Well, and that is a good. This should probably be next week's topic, but there are a lot of people out there. You know, we've all been taught that you can get a good deal on a short sale or foreclosure, and the fact is there's just not a lot of them right now in our current climate. So, you know, home values are quite high. A lot of people have enough equity. We will talk about that further next week, but just a teaser, foreclosures and short sales opportunities are few and far between. And websites out there might, make you think that they're all over the place, but we will clarify that for you next week.
Absolutely. So you heard it right here, guys. Please like and comment if you have any questions regarding flip opportunities, investments, all of those questions. Please write them below. We will answer them next week. And Holly, would you like to add anything else?
Just if you have any needs for properties that you can't find, we know the inventory is really low, let us know. We are on the hunt for you guys. Same thing if you're thinking of selling but haven't quite figured out what you're going to do. If you want to give us a little bit of info, we're happy to put out our feelers and maybe hook you up with the right buyer.
Yes, and don't worry, as far as opportunities, there's plenty out there. Spring market's going to be really hot coming in, so we're excited for that. And let us know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching Orange County's Real Estate Hot 30. I'm Lena Fayyad.
And I'm Holly McDonald.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.